Hello. Good morning. It's been a interesting morning so far, isn't it?
Yeah. And we are wearing nice contrasting colors, right? Is it
Yeah, yeah,
contrast?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Pink
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
blue.
Contrasting. Blue,
You're wearing
pink and
my
blue
color.
and a green. Yeah, red. Yeah, but sometimes when yeah, it just becomes a little bit pinky. So whatever, we'll go with the flow and we'll deal with it as it comes. There we go. How are you, Malaysia?
I'm good,
Good
thank you.
morning.
Yeah. Malaysia is good because Malaysia has doing well this morning. Um,
And which is
yeah. Must be the topic because I think the topic is so close to our hearts today, isn't it?
yes, it is. But you know what? Today is the first day of July. I mean, or the first show of July, not the first day of July. What am I saying? And July is a new month, and new month usually means a new theme. And the theme for July is making a difference, right? And and like you said, today's topic is close to both our hearts. But perhaps different reasons, but ultimately, it means it is something that is very, very important for us. I put a post on LinkedIn yesterday, and it's getting obviously resonating with a few people. People have commented on it about financial literacy, financial resilience, financial well-being, actually. And that story was about me. It is about me, or was lah, my previous life, almost like a previous life. Yeah, it's like before Singapore and then now Singapore, or in Malaysia and Singapore. Literally. Right? There was my
When I
life in
read
Malaysia, and then there's my
right,
life in Singapore.
when I
Right?
read it, sorry,
Mm.
when I read it, it took me a while to say, is this the charm I know? Because I don't know, I can't imagine the charm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Almost like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, really, and I really appreciated you writing that story. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I
Thank
really,
you.
really like it gave me a different insight to who you. Like, I appreciated you so much more. Like you're not so perfect after all.
Oh, I knew something was
Something.
coming.
Yeah, I know. But I really, I love stories, and these stories are very precious because it tells people's journey, right? So, and for me,
Hmm.
it was very, very beautiful. But anyway, when we were preparing, Nirmala had a beautiful story today, our speaker today, right? And
Yes.
it's been
Yes.
really, it's been so difficult to get her number one because she's very busy, educating people, how to live a debt-free life and a peaceful life, and she's very,
Hmm.
very passionate about it. So, her story also inspired me quite a bit. So let's quickly introduce Nirmala and bring her up because she's got a busy day. She's taken time off from her training to actually be with us, and we're very grateful. So,
Yep.
you're going to say anything nice about Nirmala?
Yes. Okay. No. First thing, I'm going to be I'm going to do something with, like, a bit jealous, like, okay, she's from University Malaya, and being a graduate from Malaysia, University Malaya and USM, there's a little bit of rivalry, all right?
Ah,
Yeah. And she did. Okay. And what's interesting about her journey so far was that she graduated in economics.
mm,
She got her first job in banking, and she's been in this financial space for a while. Yet, she, like you said, she has an interesting story around her financial well-being as well. That I think it would be good for us to hear again, and for our viewers and listeners to hear again. So we're going to bring Nirmala on, Nirmala Suppramaniam. Here we
yes.
go.
I
Do
need
your
to change
magic.
to Malar Vili Subramaniam now. That's
Yeah,
what I
I know,
told.
I know. Not related, totally not related. Two P's, one P. But there we go. And the other way, flip it.
Yay!
Yay.
Thank you, Nirmala Subramaniam. Okay.
Mm.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Nirmala.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Malar. Hi,
One.
Shah.
Yeah,
Hi.
hi.
Good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for doing this. I know it's a very busy day, and I know you've tried very hard to slot this in. So thank you. Let's drill it out of her, Lashama.
Yeah, you start. You start.
Huh?
You go.
Okay. Yeah,
Drill.
Nirmala, I'm sure everybody will love to hear your story because we've heard it. We need to hear it again, basically, right? So, when I first got in touch with you, I've been looking at your post on LinkedIn, and I realized how passionate you are about your work, right? So, and if you think about your passion, so tell us a little bit about one is how you got attracted to AKPK and how you became so passionate about what you're doing.
All right. Thanks, Malar. It's a confession, probably. We would say it as a confession.
Public confession.
Shopaholic confession of a shopaholic. Well, I would say that, yeah, I mean, like anyone, a normal teenager grew up a normal child grew up in KL and everything. We had our lifestyle kind. And Sham, I'm from UKM. I hope UKM is not your rival in USM. Not
No.
I'm from UKM. Yeah, and the main reason I didn't want to go to is too close to home. Then I will miss my university life. So yeah, and the thing was that when I graduated, I joined the bank, like mentioned. I was in a financial institution, and during those days, it's like the moment you join the bank, there's a lot of benefit given to you. Like the benefit of getting loans easy. So, the first thing that was given to us were credit cards, and at that point of time, we were not really thought about credit cards, and our parents are not really users of credit cards as well. So it's like I would say it's a pretty it was the market lah, the market where everybody was promoting credit cards, and it's like very glamorous to use one. And when you're in the bank, because you're an employee, though your salary is low, it's immediately a gold credit card that was given to you. So kaya lah, right? You have a gold credit card, you go out shopping, you have that. And I worked in KLCC. And I would say that it's not my fault, right? I'm there with the card, young, and no commitments and things like that. So what else? You just spur on everything that you could bear. And that time, you had that the how do I say, not worrying about weight also lah, so you could even eat, and all those things. And yeah, I had a fair bit of, I would say, an issue on shopping. But over the years, I got married, I had kids, and I also did one mistake. I think I didn't confess this to you guys the other day, but this is an additional confession. Was when I had my first kid, my first daughter, you're excited young mom and everything. I was actually buying her a gift every day, yeah, when I come back. And it was also, I didn't realize it, but until my mom pointed this out to me, that you're actually covering your guilt of not spending time with her. Because, I was working in a bank, it's long hours and things like that. So when I got back, it was more of like, I'm like covering my time, my guilt with things, with presents, so that I don't feel guilty and she's happy to see me, instead of, showing tantrums and things like that. So I was doing that. And she said, you're going to spoil the child by doing that, which I did not realize then. Yeah, it's like, who listens to mom? Though mom is right all the time. And eventually, when I had my second kid, I continued, but it was also a bit tough lah now, because budget is hitting already, a lot of commitments, 2 kids already, right? And when I got my third kid, yes, that's it. I got to stop. Budget is really, really tight that time, with all the 3 young kids. My kids are all 2 years apart, so it's really, really tight. So there's a stop. Then I felt the pinch. Actually, I first felt the pinch then. And I realized that, no, I can't go through. And what mom said was right. And when I stopped, the young elder one started showing tantrums. So it also affected her psychologically. She felt that, because she had siblings, she had to now let go. So the anger was given towards the sibling. So you see how much of effect you cause by just doing this, which you don't realize the long-term part of it. So that's when I got into, I would say, quite I wouldn't say a huge, I would say like, yeah, there was a number there on my credit card debts. And I felt that, okay, this can't go through, this can't go on, things need to change. But at the same time, when I was working in the bank, we are very closely related to AKPK as well, because uh, people who had that problems were going to AKPK, and I wanted a change of career. I wanted to have a difference, so I applied and I moved on that. One of the things that I would say the key factor pulled me to AKPK is I could see how they could help people, so I felt that, okay, probably by this I could help myself too. So when I went there and I saw people with a lot of problems too, and this is also where another realization, look, I cannot carry on to do what I'm doing. So all these things actually came by, and that's when I realized, like, look, I gotta change, because I can see, because even though I was managing it okay, but I could feel the pinch. But when I came here, it was more, I said, like, if I carry on to do this, I see people with bigger problems, bigger issues, then you can see where you're heading if you don't do something about it now. So that's when I decided to actually take up a lot. I actually learned. I also actually learned, and decided to change my ways, speak to people, took up courses on what needs to be done. I was not even thinking about how do you manage for the future. We were all like living for the day. Like, as long we can live our lifestyle for the day, we are happy, right? We did not even think, okay, what about in years to come, if something were to happen, or in your retirement. We did not even think that far. But after working here and seeing things, I realized all that was important. So you add on your knowledge, you learn more, you speak to more people. And in fact, like what I told you all the other day, I do a lot of financial education program, empowerment program, and I feel so inspired actually from my participants as well. It's always a learning process, because we can speak from certain theory, but we see practicality in on the ground. We see that on the ground, and we see um, people living the real thing there. So you get inspired as well. Oh, look, if these things can be changed here. And this is, so it's all about a learning process lah, I would say. So it's not a dramatic story. It's a very I would say it happens to a lot of people, especially that's why I always tell the young moms now is be careful with what you decide to show to your children from a very young age, because the effect is totally different as it goes, because you cannot sustain that kind of lifestyle actually.
I want to pick up on something that you said when you're sharing your story. You said when you felt the pinch, right? And you felt it was tight, and the budget was like out. So I just go back to that word. When you felt the pinch, the pinch made you do something different, I would say, right? Many people don't feel the pinch. But that does not mean that they're doing something right, or they're not doing something right. They're not doing something wrong, sorry. Right? And it's always like that, right? It's like you have to feel the pinch, then you do something. But sometimes it's too late, right? So how can people who are not feeling the pinch, maybe not feeling the pinch yet, know if they're on the right track or on the wrong track?
Yeah, great question. Why get hit first and then only realize, right?
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, one of the things, like I would say, simple things that you should watch out for, signs that you should watch out for is if you start depending on credit for essential, that's already a very important sign. That means in order to cater for your essential, for probably like your groceries, your utility bills, and things like that, you're already dependent on credit. For example, you have to use credit cards, you keep rolling them. You have a maximum amount, you have used up to the max, you pay up the minimum, you use back, you pay up the minimum, you use back, to the max, means it's already a sign there. If you depend on credit, it's already a sign. That means what you are actually spending beyond your means, and or your income is not sufficient to cater your lifestyle currently. There needs to be a change. So these are one of the signs. And of course, the other signs we would say is if your debt to income ratio is way too high, meaning like if monthly the commitments that you pay for your loans are more than 60% of your income, that is really high. That is the standard that they say. But for us, we see that if your loan repayment are more than 40% monthly, that is already a sign. It should be below 40%. That means whatever it is that you pay for a month should be below 40%. So you can actually calculate your debt to income ratio here to see. Just take up the amount that you pay every month, divide against your salary, and you can see the percentage is what is the percentage of your income going for debt. So that's all signs, because when you have very high commitments, meaning to say it will be very little for you. You will have very little to spend for your needs, your monthly expenses, and you will keep on accumulating debts. Okay, so those are one of the signs. The next is if you don't have savings. Yeah, if you can't. If I were to ask, and because there are stats that say that during emergency, Malaysians, 70% of Malaysians find it hard to even raise 1,000 ringgit. So they can't even gauge 1,000 ringgit. So there was one survey done by a few years back. This is before the pandemic, so we do not know even during the pandemic how is it. And when we look at that, that means if there is an emergency, I don't have cash. I'm also dependent on loan. So that's the sign. So what is an ideal amount? We will say is normally, I know financial planners will say have 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses as an emergency fund. Meaning to say if monthly your expenses is about 2,000, you at least have 6,000 in emergency savings, which you can actually put up in higher return savings like FD and certain investments that you can withdraw. But this is like something that if for example, a person loses their job, at least they can sustain for the next 1-2 months, before they find something else. So the emergency savings is important. So this is another sign. So if you feel that, hey, I don't have anything, if there's a car breakdown, if that this, I still have to use my credit card, then there is a sign already that we have to be looking into all this. So and another sign I would say is also if you can't pay up a debt, you are looking for another debt. So it's like, I can't pay up this, I keep going on for new debts. They say that you keep digging new holes to cover the existing ones. So it's like I would say it's like a never-ending story, but not happily ever after. It goes on and on and on.
It just rolls and snowballs.
Yeah, it snowballs. Correct.
Yeah, correct. Malay, I have one more, but if you want to come in and ask, summarize, yeah, I got that. I got the vibe.
Yeah, thanks. No, because it's pertaining to what you're saying, right?
Yep, same.
I'm very curious, right? Because we are talking about AKPK, as the organization that's helping with financial education of the people at large. And so when you look at, when you're talking about 40/60, actually, I'm not even sure how realistic 40/60 is, right? So which means that if I'm earning 10,000 and most people don't earn 10,000, right? Yeah. So if you're earning 10,000, I can only use 4,000 for my so-called commitments, right? So, and we look at just basic commitments in house and car. We don't even look at other things, right? So I'm thinking, like, how do you pay for a house and car at 4,000? That's one thing that's in my head, right? Looking at a lot of other things that we connected with. I'm going to park that as I ask you that. But in your experience, right? Because you see, when you shared your experience, yours was a lot at what I would say expenses that was a lifestyle expense. Things that you feel good and you want to buy, and for whatever reasons that you said, and we all have that shopping expense, things that I want to buy for the house and all of that. But when you look at people who come to AKPK for help, when it's a bit too late, and let's just maybe focus on credit card, that would be the easiest, right? When they come to you, where is the bulk of their commitment that gets them into trouble? Is it lifestyle, or is it optimism about commitment? Like, I buy a house that is beyond my capability because I think I can do a part-time job, or I think my spouse is working, or I depend on my commission. So what's the trend that you have seen?
Thanks, Malar. A lot of questions, but I want to. I would definitely agree with you that the percentage of 40-60, it works around the income as well. So for the category of T20 is slightly different. This category who are earning more than 10,000 is a bit different, like what you mentioned, because as long I have enough to cover my necessities, with maybe about, if you're earning 15,000, then if you have 6,000 for your expenses, you can still commit about 10,000 to your loan, or more than that. So it is slightly different for the T20 category. The debt to income ratio can be a different bit, because how do you calculate is mainly looking at what monthly expenses that you have to cater, and so whatever extra can go to commitment. But why we use the 40-60 is because generally the population's income is around this range, where we are mostly in the M40 and the B40 category. But even the B40 category, I would say, if you're earning 2,005 and below, this 40-60 don't work for you also. Because for example, if you're earning 2,000 ringgit, and if I were to take 40%, which is about 800 ringgit, 1,002 is not enough for your monthly expenses. So it will not also work in that way. So thanks for letting me, reminding me to highlight this as well. So it's not like a cut across thing that works for everybody, but what is more important is actually looking at what is the monthly expenses that we have to look at before we commit. But generally, on a general base for the population here that we have, the 40-60 works for quite a number of people. So that's why we use that. Yeah. And your following questions were on, looking at AKPK, as we talked about lifestyle and all. I don't have the stats to prove, but on an observation base, I would say that you are rightfully pointed that yes, a lot of the credit card spendings are more for lifestyle, more for, I would say, um, lifestyle expenses, where it's more of shoppings, food, dinings, and stuff like that. But on the house, there were also expenses from, we have a handful that I would say was done on was done on circumstances based. So when we categorize our reason for debt, was actually, one is lifestyle, one of the highest is lifestyle. Second is actually circumstances, so falling sick, the sole breadwinner, sudden illness, sudden death, even other emergencies, like even recently flood and everything. So all these were circumstances that was not. Then we also have the other part where it's actually lacking of knowledge. Yeah, like you mentioned, when I want to buy a property, I would look at my income and see to buy a property. But at times I fall in love with the property already. I cannot change my mind, but the income is not sufficient, and that's where I would say, they will gather a group of people to buy, like getting in joint borrowers in, just in order to buy the loan, to take up the loan so that they can buy the house. Or they even, like what you mentioned, add up allowances which are not fixed income, which is a danger, actually, a real danger on that. So these are the things that causes when it comes to lack of knowledge. It's also that. Then we also have another handful reason that we have observed is actually greed. Greed. I want to get rich fast. It's all these get rich quick schemes that are around, or wrong business, wrong investments that I want to do it fast, and I really that's why I will always change that get rich quick scheme to actually get rich poor fast. So you're actually getting poorer faster by doing that. So this is another handful reasons that we have seen around, like it's due to their own greed, and their own issues. So quite a diverse thing, I would say. I wouldn't be biased to any one of it, but it's quite diverse for various reasons. That's why we always worry about the part that the lack of knowledge is very important, because when you lack the knowledge, if you have the knowledge, you will be able to control all the others as well, or at least minimize the issues. I wouldn't say you can change 100%, but you can actually minimize the issues that possibly could happen. You know, like for example, circumstances. We can't say anything. Things happen not within our plan at all times, right? At all times. But we can actually minimize the loss, minimize the risk by protecting it well enough, like getting adequate protection, even ensuring before you take up a loan or anything, you have adequate protections towards the loan. So yeah, those are the things where the knowledge actually plays a part.
Sure. Sham, I'm going to pass it here. I just wanted to. So one thing that I'm getting from what Nirmala is saying, and Sham, tell me, I see one word that reminds me of all the things, the four things that you actually said, right? That's lifestyle. Emergency, I'll pack it, but lack of knowledge of tools, right? I think one thing that seems to be consistent. I think would I be correct in saying generally these people are very optimistic?
Yeah, we semua boleh mah.
Yeah, because this is where unrealistic optimism or positive thinking kicks in, because they start saying we can do it, right? And of course, in Malaysia, for example, there are ways to actually, show a higher income for you to qualify for a higher loan. And people don't do that because they lack knowledge, but I think they do that because they are optimistic something will happen in the future, or they'll make something that's beyond them at this moment happen, right? So, I mean, I just wanted to, say, do you find these people generally optimistic? Because if you are not optimistic, you won't wait until the last moment to get help either.
Yeah, I would say yes. Also, I would say procrastinate also, I would add into that. That I would give an example. Like I had a client who took up loans for her son's wedding. Yeah, she was in her 50s, and she took up loans up to about 100,000 to have the grand wedding for her only son, with the optimistic thing of not we get back our angpao money and things like
Environment. Yeah.
that. So
Yep.
that be very optimistic of getting those funds that would actually help her pay up all these debts. So she said, well, that the debt was a temporary thing. But yeah, she did get, she was right. She got the money. Okay. But the son took the money and went for a honeymoon. And whatever that the money came in, it went the other way around. So sometimes that's why we always say that do not spend something that you do not have yet for your lifestyle. Like this wedding is actually a lifestyle expenses. So we have seen cases like that as well, and also like even worse, Mother, I would share that I have cases where the house is going for an auction already because they have defaulted. And with that thought, even by not, they can't afford to pay that, they actually went to get loan shark help to get amount to pay up the default amount so that they can stop the auction. And this is really, really, really dangerous because you already have one debt that you can't pay and you went up to a more dangerous debt. And on what this is, I say, beyond being optimistic, but on what basis that you actually think now you can pay both, so we have seen to that extreme cases as well. So like what you rightfully pointed, it involves a lot of emotions, and that you have to use rational thinking at this point and not really giving to emotions. I know it's a difficult point of the difficult situation. It's a house that you love, you've been living there, the sentiment value that we have towards that and all. But this is where we really feel that even, I mean, I know it's a difficult thing. I know people might be angry hearing this or what, but at some time it's still a property that you can still gain back sometime in future. But it's more of that danger that you're putting yourself when you go towards these unregulated loans and things like that. It's something very big that nobody can help you then, so just something that sentiment, emotions, we need to manage. So I would agree, in money management, it's just not about knowledge, it's also about managing their emotions well.
Very nicely said. Very, very nicely said. Because the question I was thinking about in rolling is that if I'm listening in, I might say, this is not something I don't know, right? I think we all three of us can very safely say that a lot of these things are things that most people know, most educated people know, whatever education means, right? So one of your points was little knowledge, but if you have knowledge, and generally most of us have that knowledge, you had the knowledge, I had the knowledge, but yet we get into this situation. So what is that missing foundation that we all need to understand how to have that financial resilience or well-being? What's the missing part? We know, yet we get into it. We get into the spiral. We feel the pinch, or we think we don't feel the pinch. Right?
Yeah, it's actually translating your knowledge into behavior and then becoming an attitude of yours. So, money management is, yeah, you have that knowledge, for example, but at times you need to gain more, in order
Mm.
that you can actually translate it to behavior. So, how do I translate it to behavior? Where is that missing link? So this is where I think if you go is the why purpose, why I need to do that. First, I need to believe to do that. Why do I want to make that change? Why only you can
Mm.
make that change? 100 people can come and educate you, 100 people can tell you what to do, but you need to find that why factor. And that's where I think we are failing, because we get too comfortable, we just get into the routine, we just want to be that, I would say, we are in this rat race, we are happy with that, but there's the saying that even if you win that race, you're still a rat if you still keep running. So where do you want to
Mm.
go? So that financial goal, what is the goal? And ultimately, what is your life goal plays a part. You need to find that purpose in life. At the end of the day, it's happiness. Sham, to me and Mala, it's happiness at the end of the day.
Mm.
So how
Correct.
long do you want? You ask yourself these questions. How long do you want to go on like this? How long do you want to move on in this chaotic thing? But what is the end thing that gives you happiness at the end? And so you work towards that. So for us in all this, how do I get it? Is I have to find my why purpose. If I
Mm.
don't find that, I will never translate whatever I know into my behavior of why I want to do that. And I give you a very simple example that we all do is wearing seatbelt, right? When we drive,
Mm.
when we tell our kids, "Hey, police, then wear your seatbelt." But we have trained that, oh, I'm wearing the seatbelt because somebody is looking. But that
Yep.
is different for somebody who has seen an accident, who has feel it, or I feel that, hey, look, I need to live longer for my kids, I need to take care of myself. So it's not about the police, it's my safety that's important to
Mm.
me. Then I will start doing it instantly without anybody telling me even for a minute. So, we need to have those thought to say that, what is my goal? Where do I see myself in the next, few years? How do I see myself still running around, this thing? What do I see? It's not about being millionaires or billionaires or,
Mm.
but at the end of the day, what makes you happy? For example, I have a friend who loves drawing. He loves to sketch people, but he says, I have to earn an income to support my family, and this doesn't give me that income. But one day I want to settle all this and go back to what gives me happiness. So because of that, he moves on with this fast, manages well,
Mm.
because
Mm.
he wants to hit that retirement faster and he can live
Mm.
his dream. So when they have that kind of motivation, it drives them. So we have to find what motivates us, what's important to us, and so life needs to live with a purpose. I'm sure you guys are experts at this and you can talk more to this, but in money management, is I agree, it's knowledge gives us the awareness, oh, this can happen, and what I need to do. But in order for it to be translated to a behavior and becomes our attitude, we need a drive, we need a pull, we need a goal, we need a motivation. And above all, just dreaming and procrastinating is not important. Then I have to have the discipline to live it through also. those
Yeah,
kind.
we may be doing this work, but you joined the dots and you connected the dots beautifully. So we'll just leave it at that because you did it really, really well. So you drew a very important point there about having a purpose, right? Having a goal and anchoring yourself to that purpose and goal. And if we take that to an organizational perspective, so take the sketcher, right? Realizing that sketching is not going to put money on the table, food on the table. So I need to get a job. I focus on that, right? From an organizational perspective, how can organizations, or what can organizations, in your experience, what have you seen organizations do, or what do you hope organizations can do to help individuals anchor to that why, anchor to that why, or that what's motivating me, what's that goal, for both the individual as well as the organization to achieve what they need to achieve?
They play a very important role because a happy employee is the productive employee. A happy employee is always good for the organization. So one of the things that we do now is actually work with a lot of organizations to provide financial wellness, uh, awareness, education, skills to their employees, because this is one place that we can reach out easily, and we have worked with organizations who saw that, they did a screening on their employees to say, hey, why, especially on the underperformance lah. So they wanted to do why, what is the issue, and when they saw a few issues are due to family issues, family problems, but a handful of them are also due to financial issues because they're so stressed on their finances, they're not able to manage their finances, they are not able to perform, they're not able to concentrate. So then they realize, oh, we need to help them, give them solution and what are the issues, and that's where we came in. But don't wait until there's, coming to this stage. Why not, for the young recruits, as soon as they come in, they join in. This is where they're going to take up loans and take up this thing, So, have it during your orientation. Every company has their orientation, induction programs, have financial well-being, financial wellness, so that you address them young, so they will be a more productive staff for you because, they know what to do. And of course, even at their retirement, pre-retirement, they're going to retire. This is one skill, one life skill. That pre-retirement, please don't do it at the age of 55 or 60. Do it at the age of 45 because
Yes.
that's when you have time to plan, not at the
Mm.
age when you're 60 and then you're having a pre-retirement cost for the guy. You would have finished all his money in the savings already, so have it there
Correct.
before that. And also, during things. So there's a lot of this part that I feel, and I'm strongly passionate when I see. I'm very glad I've seen some organizations who have like continuously given importance to financial wellness because they saw the impact. They saw how much it has done for their staff. This is a value added. I mean, value
Mm.
added that we can actually give to staff, because we are not saying money is everything to everybody, but sad to say everything is money. It's
Yes.
like
Yes.
it
Yes.
it 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 really controls your emotions at times. You are so happy when there's money coming in, and when towards month end, and when the bank balance is so low, your emotions take place. You yell at people, and you're not this thing. So it and if you go over indebted and things like that. So employers can play a lot of part. They can really play a major part by giving this additional value, which is actually is back to them. Actually, it's a real benefit back to them because we see a more. We have done surveys. And we have seen that uh, it actually gets them to be more productive eventually.
Mm. Mm. Malad.
Oh, nice, nice. Now, I'm just wondering because we run this program, Leadership in Flow, and we are hoping managers and will be listening to this, or individuals will be listening to this. So individuals who are listening will know how to get in touch with AKPK, right? And that's easy. But you're talking about educating people via organizations, right? And I think that's a fantastic thing. And it's great that you're doing it because now people can also, organizations can also reach out to you for educating people in terms of financial wellness, right? Now, if I'm a manager and I see signs of distress in my employees, because we talk about mental health, and you would agree with me, financial wellness attributes contributes to one's well-being, overall well-being, right? Like what you just said, right? Now, how does a manager, if I'm looking at my staff and maybe I'm having a conversation or I just see that they are looking distressed, right? What are some signs and symptoms that you've observed or people have told you to say that this person might be financially distressed? How do we look out for those signs so that managers then know perhaps how to have that conversation, right? Because this is really personal, right? And we tend to have this boundary about, oh, that's finances are is my personal life. So what are some of your
It is something very personal. Sometimes even our own family would not know that, because we are
Mm.
very shy to
yeah.
speak when it comes to finances. We always want to show everything is good and healthy, right? But there are a few signs that our organizations have feedback to us in terms of when they looked at absenteeism, in terms of like their show up to work, attendance to work, and they do see that it's quite high, and in terms of their MCs and things like that. So that's like something that there's some other issues bothering, yeah. And of course, in terms of concentration, focus on work, there could be various reasons to that, but these are some of it. And but there are also organizations who actually monitor in terms of their salary to see what is the take home after, they have some loans which are salary deducted. So some employers do monitor that as well. But also, it sometimes for some it's a very visible thing. Sorry, I wouldn't say visible. For some it's visible, for some it's very invisible. They really can put up a total opposite show
Mm.
that you don't even see that, but they are even more spending even more, even that's an issue. So what I would say is like, and at times even when they were to approach them, they would say no, because I would not want to reveal to them, because they are my employer, they are my friend, or they still see me during lunch, they still, so I'll be judged, I'll be judged for whatever that I do after this. So what we would encourage to do is actually just have awareness sessions with them. Like, you can invite AKPK to conduct awareness session. And when we do awareness sessions, thoughts will be triggering. They will realize, because there are also a group of people who don't realize they're in financial problem. They are having financial issues. So that's why we say the acknowledgement part is first. So sometimes when I give my session, I would see the face who are smiling has, like, when I share stories, it's like totally is changing, and you can read from the face like, though, she's talking about me lah, and things like that. And I had clients who came and asked me after that, how did you know my story? Whatever you shared, that was exactly what I'm going through, and I didn't realize it. So sometimes it triggered points, and they come to seek help. Yeah. So you can look at various signs like their depression, their attendance, their focus towards work, and see if you want to do a screening on that. And or you could just do an awareness, and from there, the trigger point will come out. They themselves will come out to seek help, because what we realize in financial problem is people will not come forward. If they want to change, they need to come forward voluntarily. If it's by force, it's not going to happen. We don't see the change in them. So we want them to come to us that, look, I want to change, I'm coming, and we will show you the way. But if you are forced by them to come, you say, Eesh, I'm just here because, just like you send your son to tuition, and he doesn't want to go, he's going to go there and rebel and not even study, right? So this is speaking from experience lah. So and so that's where we see that lah. So organizations can call us for a lot of awareness talk sessions, even share videos on financial awareness of helps that we can do, and this will eventually get their employees to come forward. If they do not have a system, some they have a system, they have their financial wellness, they have an overall wellness program. They have their counselors, they have like internal counselors to actually look into why underperformance, what are your reasons. They do screening, they look at attendance, they do screening. But some companies don't do that, so I would say like, okay, just call us to give an awareness talk, and then you can see what's they would come forward. You don't have to do anything, they will come forward.
Hmm. Hmm. And I think that applies. I mean, AKPK is a Malaysian agency. We have viewers and listeners coming in from Indonesia, India, and also Singapore, obviously. And there are, I'm sure, support systems within, and for sure in Singapore, I know there are support systems within the government structure to help with credit issues as well in counseling. So that applies all right across. That applies right across. As a last question, I know you need to go. There is a stigma to financial ill-being, right? Like you said, nobody wants to tell that I am not financially healthy, right? We all show off. So what can either the individual who is a friend, or the individual who's a team leader, or the individual who heads an organization do? What's that one little thing that we can do to take away the stigma? Right? Me as an individual who might be having that, all right, or my friend, or if I'm a friend to someone, a team lead, or as an organization.
You, like any other thing, Sham, it's a very tough thing. Just like anybody who's under depression, who's under stress, it's also a stigma. Yeah, we Malaysians are brought up to show that we are strong. We, at least our generation lah. We are brought up to not show that there is a problem. So same thing with financial wellness. But there's one thing that we always say. I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but I will say this: you never walk alone. It's just that you are not alone in this issue. That's the branding, and that's the message that we want to pass through. You are not alone when it comes to financial issues, and that's the ultimate scope. That's why AKPK goes with AKPK Sahabat, and we want to be your friend. Okay, let's be your friend. So support system is very important here. Family plays a part. Friends play a part, employers play a part, so it's about understanding that this is not something that you look down upon, but rather it's something that's you never walk alone lah on this. You are not alone. Everybody faces this at one point of time. So that's why when we tell to people who come to us, we tell them, hey, look, you are making a difference. There are a lot out there not making a difference. So don't feel shy to walk in here. You are somebody who decided to make a change. So be proud and let people know. So celebrate that change. I would say is celebrate people who wants to make the change rather than look differently. So it's all of us play a part. Actually, all of us play a part. And thank you for having this session. You guys have made a difference too. I would say, by having this and breaking the stigma and saying that. Yeah, so I think this, and to share also that yes, we in Malaysia we have this, and sad to say many other countries are trying to follow, but we must be proud. I would still say that our central bank took a very different approach by establishing an agency of such. No other countries have done that under the central bank. Singapore has it, but it's under an NGO base.
Yes, correct.
They're running
correct.
on their own. Many other countries have it, but they're on their own. But there's no country that has it under their central bank. So that's something that we should say is something great. But like I say, we have done programs even with Philippines on financial education. We went with certain companies and we did it. Even globally, we have Malaysian-based company, but they're also in Southeast Asia and other they have their branches. So we have done for their employees that we do it very general, because financial planning doesn't differ much in terms of countries.
Yes.
it's the same rule, same basis, but maybe the opportunities and the loans or maybe the facilities might be slightly different, but the general rule is still the same.
The fundamentals never change. Never change.
All right.
You're
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we usually summarize first, but I know you're rushing. So what we're going to do is we're going to thank Nirmala and let her
Yes.
go through
Oh,
all the
thank
things
you
that
so
she
much. Thank you
shared.
so much for understanding. Thank you.
Nirmala, thank you very much, for being part of AKPK and saying yes to us and being the head of, the space that you're dealing with. And, to come into our program to create awareness with such kindness and
Mm.
vulnerability. So we want to thank you for that. Have a good day, and maybe you just want to say goodbye to everybody. And you can contact Nirmala via LinkedIn. I believe her LinkedIn is here, so you can contact her or AKPK if you want to either educate yourself and get more knowledge or more knowledge for the people you're working with. Is there anything else you'd like to leave the crowd with?
Yeah, thank you so much, Malar and Sham. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
And apologies for the miscommunication that I had earlier. So I'm very,
No,
very
No
sorry.
worries.
no,
And
no.
yeah, thank you so much. And I enjoy this session. I'm just like willing to change anything to be on this session because I feel that it's a great platform. It's always a great platform, and every opportunity is a platform for us to share. So just remember, do not wait too long. If there are issues, seek help fast. Seek help fast. And like what we mentioned, you're not alone first. So you're not alone at all in this. So there are support systems, there are people to help you, but to seek help and to make the changes within us. So we have to take that first step. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nirmala. You have a good day. And, whatever you took time off from, we want to thank those people. So have a good day and we'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And as we say bye to Nirmala, I think, it's time to summarize, right?
Yes. Do your
Yeah,
magic.
no, I'm not sure if there's magic, but I thought it was so interesting. So for me, if I had to conclude, I think the one that we should be paying attention to is how to destigmatize financial conversation. It's like we often
Mm.
talk about mental health, and we need to make it normalize mental health conversation because it's part of being healthy. And I think
Mm.
what I'm hearing from what all that Nirmala said is that we need to do that for financial wellness, right? Because financial wellness, I think, is so core to an individual's identity
Correct.
in
I was
all
going to
that.
say that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to
right?
say that.
It's so core, and in building one's identity, right? We realize, we've got into the space where we say it's private, we cannot, intrude and
Mm.
talk about it. But if you don't learn how to talk about it from the beginning, right? Uh, that's how we stigmatize a topic, right? And which is where, for me, that's what Nirmala told us, because she took us through what are the signs of people getting into financial trouble. Why do they get into financial trouble? And of course I picked up optimism, and she looks at how we tend to get off track about what gives us happiness, because we go into this
Mm.
short term, very immediate gratification of buying things and doing things, making decision which is emotional based, right? and
Yep.
and this is where, Shami, the work that we do, right? The most important thing in emotions is actually emotional management. Most problems in our lives, right,
It's about, yeah,
is
you when you
about
finally
emotional
come down to
management.
it, yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
or rather we call it emotional regulation, right? So
Yeah.
you don't regulate your emotion, and this is one of the effects. Same thing with all the other things that we do, right? And
Hmm.
we
And
all,
there's two components to that, right? That's my emotions, the regulation of my emotions, right? And it's also the my emotions versus the others, and the others versus me, right? So there's that element that's very, very important. Like you said, it's at the core. Um, Many of our pleasures and many of our problems or challenges as well.
I think
Emotion.
pleasures that brings us pain.
Sometimes.
Pleasures that, yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, right? Because if I don't have, if I'm not clear about my own identity as a person,
Mm,
right?
mm,
This is where I get carried away with my choices. That the world, because if you look, I mean, look at the kind of choices we have as a consumer, right?
yep.
Whatever is a want is advertised and marketed as a need, and
Yep.
that's business, right? On one
Yep.
hand, so you need to discern and say, okay, who am I and how am I associating myself to these choices? Am I able to afford it? Now that also means that, again, like what I said, if I don't have a strong identity of who I am, I will not be able to say no to these temptations, right?
Mm,
Which
mm.
is why personal development is such an important component. Self-esteem is such a
Correct.
important component
Yep.
component for us
Correct.
to be financially healthy, is what I'm saying, right? So,
Yep.
and
Yep.
those are things that Nirmala very simply put it up for us by telling us what AKPK is doing, how to look out, and most importantly, I'm looking at, we need to think about how to destigmatize these conversations from a very early age. I'm thinking about it as I'm talking to you because I have 3 children, right? Just like we're talking
Mm.
about, mental well-being, right?
Yep.
And to
Yep.
normalize that, I am now thinking, okay, maybe we need to also normalize financial conversation, which I've never thought about before, right?
Mm.
Because we don't talk about our challenges and our financial difficulties with our children. We think we need to hide it from them and
Mm.
let them see that mommy and daddy has it also. I'm going to think,
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Mm.
going to think through that because I think I learned, I am pretty good, I would say, in my financial management only because I saw how my parents lived badly,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
so, and I think, thank goodness, I learned from their mistake and I didn't
Mm.
repeat or model them in that way. So just like that, I'm not sure what my kids are picking up lah. So I think that's a thought that's coming through my mind, and I'm sure we will grow it in our show. So our
Yeah.
audience have been very quiet today, so I do hope that people bring in
Yeah.
questions. Yeah, bring in questions
Yeah.
you have, or maybe it's such a private thing that you decided to view us quietly, right? So I hope I did some justice to the summary, Sham. Passing it
Yes, you
back to
did.
you.
Yeah. I'm going to close with just one comment, and I'll draw on a comment that Nirmala made. Money is not everything, yet money can be the cause of the most deepest pain that any person can have. So be careful, be aware, and if you need to take steps, please take those steps because it can be more painful than you expect it to be. On that note, we've come to the end of this week's show. We are on next week as usual, same time, different place. You'll know when you get the link. But you can always go back and listen to our podcasts of the show. There are nuggets in here that are really, really good. Or if you are the viewing type, you can always find us on LinkedIn and YouTube for our previous shows, right? So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, Malaysia.
And goodbye, Singapore. Thanks, Sham.
All
You
right.
have a great
Thanks, Mother.
weekend ahead. Okay, bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.